Welcome to this episode of Toronto Blue Jays Update. Before we get into the massive breaking news that just dropped, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share your opinion in the comments below. Your engagement keeps this content coming. The New York Mets are in agreement on a trade to acquire Luis Robert Jr. Just the last time we talked about this being a move the Mets should be zeroing in on. Obviously, this team needed another outfielder. You could argue they need two, which begs the question, does this take them out of the Cody Bellinger possibility? It feels like we're getting close to the end of that saga. Every offseason, there's a saga with Cody Bellinger. They needed two, and we'll explain why. We have the trade details from Jeff Passan. It's Luis Angel, Acuña, and Truman Pauley. Truman Pauley is a throw-in piece here. He was a later draft pick last year and not a top 30, really just kind of a throw-in. I'm going to guess there were maybe a White Sox scout or two tasked with digging deep and found a guy they like his breaking ball or something, but this is really all about getting Luis Angel Acuña, who is destroying the ball this winter. I don't know if that means he'll destroy the ball at the major league level, but I think it's time for him to get a clear path to regular at-bats and playing time. He should get that with the Chicago White Sox. Now we can break the handcuff Acuña has been dealing with to just give him an everyday job and see what he is as a pro. I like this for the Chicago White Sox. Luis Robert is going to the Mets, along with all of his salary, $20 million this year, $20 million next year. It's cheaper than Cody Bellinger. This was about the time when Luis Robert trade talk felt right to pick up, because we're seeing the free agent market get to that point where there's not a whole lot out there. We're talking about Austin Hayes these days. This makes sense if you're looking for ceiling. You can try to grab, there's some ceiling here. Luis Robert is a plus-plus outfield defender. If he's in center field or left field, he's going to do tremendously out there. I like the idea of getting Luis Robert Jr., especially for something where Luis Angel Acuña literally was not going to play at all. If that brings you Luis Robert Jr., and you're hoping for what we saw from him in much of the second half last year, you roll the dice on that. The Mets can do that. They're in that position. The question is, does this take them out of the Cody Bellinger sweepstakes? We heard this morning from Bob Nightingale and this evening from Jon Heyman that Cody Bellinger is mulling multiple offers from multiple teams. Feels like it's getting close. According to Bob this morning, it was going to happen shortly. Apparently shortly is not soon because the day is come and gone, and Cody Bellinger has not made a choice. We heard from Jon Heyman as of 2 hours ago that offers from the Yankees and the Mets were on the table. Did the Mets hear from Cody Bellinger? Are they pulling the trigger on this trade because they've heard from Cody and he's told them no? That is not a stretch by any means. If we hear tomorrow morning that Cody Bellinger is going to some team and it's not the New York Mets, then obviously David Stearns and company pivoted rather quickly, which is what they did after Kyle Tucker. If this is a pivot, it's a pretty good one because when you consider what's still out there on the free agent market after Cody Bellinger, you're looking at Austin Hayes. His name has been popping up recently, and it's getting thin. Tommy Pham, Harrison Bader. I never saw a Bader reunion in Queens. This is another reason why I was on the Luis Robert bandwagon for the New York Mets. There's still a star player potentially in here. If you look at his splits, last year was not a complete waste. We did see signs of life from Luis Robert later in the season, which is enough to get the Mets to pull the trigger. You put him in a situation where he's trying to win something. Maybe we get Luis Robert back on track again. Let's look at the Mets lineup. We've got Lindor, Soto, Bo Bichette, Jorge Polanco, Marcus Semien, Brett Baty, Francisco Alvarez, Luis Robert, Carson Benge. If Carson Benge shows up in spring training and proves he's ready, he's got to earn that. If he's not, you have Tyrone Taylor. Maybe you move one of your excess corner infielders to a corner outfield spot. We're already moving a middle infielder to corner infield and a DH to first base. If Brett Baty is athletic enough to handle left field, put him there. If Carson Benge doesn't crack the opening day roster and Mark Vientos can DH, you have to wonder where we see Luis Angel Acuña. Does Mark Vientos also find himself as a player that might be traded? The problem is, what is Mark Vientos bringing back in the starting pitching realm? I don't think anything significant enough to trade him. Same with Brett Baty. Ronnie Mauricio is an interesting piece. I wonder if the White Sox had their choice between Mauricio and Acuña, and the way Acuña has been playing this winter swung the decision. Does this mean they're out on Cody Bellinger? I believe the answer is yes. Whether they're out because Cody's being difficult negotiating with them, or Cody has told them thanks, but no thanks to their short-term offer. Kyle Tucker took one. Bo Bichette took one, but maybe Bellinger isn't interested. He's been doing that for a couple years now. He wants certainty. He doesn't want to deal with option decisions and free agency. He's done it enough. Bo and Kyle, this was their first time. Bellinger has done it like 3 times now. If you have the long-term offer on the table from the New York Yankees or anybody else, because it seems like there are 2 mystery teams for Cody. The latest John Heyman post didn't give us the other 2 teams, just Mets, Yankees, and 2 others. For the Mets, it's probably done. I think Cody Bellinger ends up back with the New York Yankees. This Luis Robert acquisition closes the door because you've got Soto in right, Robert in center, and you hold that other corner outfield spot for Carson Benge, Tyrone Taylor, or other internal promotions. I will not be surprised if we get a report saying the Mets are going to try Brett Beatty in left field during spring training, so Mark Vientos can DH. If Carson Benge goes out there, plays well, and ends that spot, you want to reward him and not have Cody Bellinger locked up to a 3-year contract blocking somebody like that. I believe this is the nail in the coffin for any Cody Bellinger New York Mets possibility. One of 2 things has happened. The Mets doing this is an announcement to Cody that they're not doing a 6-year deal and moving on. Or Cody has informed them they're out, and this is a quick pivot from David Stearns. Sometimes my gut leads me in the wrong direction, sometimes right down Broadway. Just yesterday I was talking about Luis Robert to the Mets based on reading the current state of the market and the Mets situation. I think Bellinger ends up with the New York Yankees. The Yankees will hold firm and not budge, but I don't think they take their offer off the table. The well is starting to run dry with position player talent. If you're still looking to improve and you're the Yankees, you don't want to negotiate against yourself, but you're also negotiating against the rest of the market. The last thing you want is to lose this player, because if you lose Cody Bellinger, you don't have a fallback option anymore. The free agent market is down to Harrison Bader and Austin Hayes. The trade market has Brendan Donovan, but according to Katie Woo, you'll have to overpay if you want him. The Cardinals can wait and trade Donovan at the deadline when the market may be broader. Jazz Chisholm gives the Yankees flexibility because you can get a middle infielder and move Jazz to the outfield. Jason Dominguez gives you maybe some comfort in letting Bellinger walk, because at some point he has to be given an opportunity. I think ultimately Bellinger ends up back with the Yankees, and this Luis Robert trade is a sign he will not be a Met. You can make the argument this doesn't take them out of the Bellinger sweepstakes, but my read is that it does. This was the right thing for the Mets if Bellinger is off the table. It's an inconsequential parting of pieces. A 12th-round pitcher and Luis Angel Acuña, who had no path to playing time. It's a good deal for both sides. That's all for today's update. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think this means for the Blue Jays and their outfield plans? Let me know below.